Welcome to episode 141 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg. My co-host, Warren Sklar, is off this week. And my guest this week, and returning guest, is Mr. Davis Knight. How you doing, Davis?
I am great. How are you?
Doing great. I'm glad to have you back on the show. It's been a while, but we had to get you back and talk about technology and all the stuff that you and I always talk about. And you definitely and you have your podcast, diabeticsavvy.com is your website and podcast, and we're definitely going to have a bit of a topic on the Apple Watch and something related to that in a little bit here. But there's lots of news. Beta this week. There was another release. We'll talk about that a bit. And I did get the braided solo loop. If I can see it on camera there, and I'm going to talk about that and my experience getting that, because I had been waiting for a while, and I see that we're matchers, so we'll have even more to talk about with that. So lots of things to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and let's dig in here. And Mac rumors always are a good source of news this week, and that never changes. And the first story here is Apple Maps displays COVID-19 vaccine locations in the United States. This was posted a couple days ago here. Apple has updated its Maps app to display nearby COVID-19 vaccine providers across the United States to make it easier for people to find an appropriate location to receive the vaccine when it's eligible. And it's starting to become more and more eligible. So I think you're going to start seeing a lot more activity here. Both of us, of course, being in the Chicago area, that they've already announced that it's going to open it up to pretty much everybody pretty soon here. It'll also include operating hours, address, the phone number, a link to the provider. So I think this is a great thing. Also integrated into Siri. So lots of good stuff in here. But of course, related to COVID, I'm trying not to talk too much about that, but I think this is a good thing that Apple did. What did you think on this, Davis?
Well, it completely coincides with their mission. I mean, they're doing so much in the health space. I think that they have to do it, but I think it's also really important to Apple. Interestingly enough, though, this is only one of a few updates that they've recently released on Apple Maps. Apple Maps as a software and as a GPS system has gotten a lot more robust in recent weeks. In fact, I just posted about updated audio prompts that have now gone live in Apple Maps, where it's much more human. They're giving you directions that people would say to each other, like after the next light, turn right. I mean, just really great stuff.
Yeah, we talked about that. The Waze additions that's going to be in iOS 14.5 very shortly with the maps is really going to be is going to be great stuff. So just be aware of that. And next story, this is an Apple Insider, actually. Brand loyalty increasing for iPhone and dipping for Android, survey suggests. And I always like to see those things. And sometimes they're a bit of propaganda, maybe I should say. But I thought this was a good story to talk about here. A new survey suggests that the Apple iPhone brand loyalty increased as Android users become less loyal to their device makers and more willing to switch to another brand. The survey was carried out by a company called Cell SELLCELL earlier in March of 2021. Involved more than 5,000 smart users who own various models of the most popular handsets. The results suggest that the iPhone users are more loyal and less willing to switch to another brand than their Android using counterparts. Brand loyalty for Apple reached an all-time high of 92%, up from 90.5% in the survey back in 2019. So it says while only 8.1% of the iPhone users plan to switch to another brand, about 26% of Samsung users indicate they would jump ship in their next smartphone upgrade. So I am not all surprised about this. I mean, obviously with us, you and I both, and our audience are pretty much loyal iPhone users. I'm not surprised that this is happening, but it's a good thing too. I mean, and really, Android is so all over the place. There's so many different models, and there's so many phones out there with old OSs that you can't update, and I can go on and on. But yeah, what'd you think?
Same thing. I mean, I thought the two most interesting reasons about the survey were they were too tied to the system. They're too involved, too entrenched in the ecosystem, which makes sense because everything just works with each other with Apple. And then there's no reason to leave. If it all works, there's no reason to leave. I mean, it's a common sense survey that makes total sense. And to your point, Apple products they're supported longer. Apple treats you better as a customer. There's just, it makes total sense to me.
Absolutely. Next story, Siri can now tell you what Oprah's reading. Apple has a partnership with Oprah and her Oprah's Book Club, a follow-along reading experience available in the Apple Books app and on the Apple TV Plus app. So now this week, this as this was posted, you can there is a new Oprah Siri integration that allows you to say, "Hey, yes, lady, what book is Oprah currently reading for her book club?" And I tried it, and yes, she reads a synopsis for the book for that week, and just more publicity for Oprah and her dedication to Apple, because she's all in with Apple TV Plus as well as this book club. So I like this. I think you're gonna start seeing more and more trends of this. What'd you think?
Oh, same thing. And of course, both of us being from the Chicagoland area, you got to support Oprah no matter what.
Even though she's abandoned us.
And it's absolutely right. But I've actually ridden in the elevator with Oprah. That's a whole nother story. But what's interesting is, if you think about it, the Apple brand, Tim Cook, and Oprah's brand very much align in terms of their values. They're very much on the same page. So this type of closer integration and partnership doesn't surprise me. And I think it's great. Oprah's incredibly well-liked, incredibly powerful. And if she can help herself and the platform, I'm all for it. And people trust her. So good for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the big key right there, is the trust that everybody has in her. So, and so let's move on, and let's talk about rumor. Speculation here that this is on Mac Rumors, iPad Pro with Thunderbolt and mini LED display coming as early as April. As we record this, Apple will introduce new iPads as early as April, according to a new report shared today by Bloomberg, which I can trust that a little more. The April date comes from incorrect rumors, and that was a whole nother debacle of John Prosser is already having his eyebrows shaved because he gave a wrong date and all kinds of stuff on the Twitter. So that they had originally going to have the event on March 23rd, which is not too far off from when we're recording this, but that's not happening. So they're saying that Apple will refresh the iPad Pro lineup, including new models that will look similar to the current iPad Pros, which let's talk about that in a second. And the same 11 and 12.9 inch screen sizes, so they're dedicated to those sizes. Two iPads are expected to feature an updated A14X processor, which is quote unquote on par for the M1 chip that's in the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini, along with better cameras. Okay. But the LED display, which will be included, is going to be will be included with at least the larger 12.9 inch iPad Pro with the display upgrade, bringing improved brightness and contrast ratios. And the other thing that interests me is going to have with the updated Thunderbolt connector that would make them compatible with additional external monitors, so you can be able to be really a true wired connection through a Thunderbolt connection, and of course the USB-C is standard with that as well. So I'm pretty excited to see where this goes. The chip itself, Apple of course did do a developer's a kit that they sent out to developers, that Mac Mini before the M1 came out, that had the A14 processor in it. So when I see this story, I was like, okay, well, that's nothing new, because the processors are basically the same, and the developers were saying the performance was gosh darn good, because all the developers have had to ship that machine back since. So, yeah, what do you think? What do you think? You have an iPad, right? You use an iPad?
I use an iPad. It's my go-to device. I use my iPad first, then probably my phone, and then followed by my desktop. So and what's interesting is this year I'm actually due for my own sort of personal upgrade timeline. The thing about this article is the display is what really kind of interests me. I do a lot of camera work and video work. So from my perspective, both the Thunderbolt and the display are really important, but I'm really interested in that display because, I'm on a 2018 and it still works great. I had no need to upgrade the last 2 years. So I'm going to be really interested to see if this happens. It'll be a good upgrade if it's true.
Yeah. Definitely. So look forward to seeing what the future holds with new releases for Apple and hopefully in April. So, next story. This is in 9 to 5 Mac. T-Mobile is teaming up with SiriusXM to give customers a better version of Pandora for free. T-Mobile is out with its latest perk for customers. I'm a T-Mobile customer, as everybody knows who listens to the show. It's going to be a special Pandora app experience with ad-free stations and more in partnership with SiriusXM. Of course, SiriusXM owns Pandora. And says the Un-carrier, and it says it's 100 million plus customers are going to get a free enhanced Pandora streaming experience. The company announced, and it's going to be a new year-long perk. And they did this before, actually, as being a customer, because they have T-Mobile Tuesdays and they give away the free stuff each week. So you get, instead of you're getting your free Popeye's chicken sandwich and free Whopper from Burger King and your 10 cents off of your Shell gas with fuel rewards, you get other things like this, which is going to be great. So really what's going to end up including is ad-free Pandora music stations each weekend, special top tracks and music powered by SiriusXM. I'm a SiriusXM subscriber as well, so I think they got some good stuff in some of their channels, which is great. So I think that, and if anything, this is going to help is SiriusXM get some even more listenership. I mean, with Howard Stern and a lot of the content that SiriusXM has, they got a ton of subscribers. So it'll be actually from as we record this, I believe next week from the T-Mobile Tuesdays app, because which I believe that's the 23rd. Then I'll check my dates. And then the week after that's going to happen is, as they do every year, is MLB At Bat. The MLB TV app will also be a free season-long subscription. So there's some of the two perks that have already pay themselves off. They've been renewing the MLB one for the last few years. It's been great. I don't have to pay for that, and I'm a baseball fan like you are. So what do you think of this? I think Pandora's got some good stuff.
If I'm being totally transparent, I haven't listened to Pandora in a long time.
Right.
I am a lifetime Sirius subscriber, so. And to be honest, I haven't listened to that in a while. I mostly go to Apple Music. So I think the market has changed a little bit since I was part of both of those platforms. But I will tell you that I think it's a great thing. I mean, Pandora is still incredibly popular. SiriusXM is still incredibly popular. I mean, you still can't go drive across the United States without something like Sirius if you want uninterrupted commercial-free music. So I think it's great. I'm so glad to see that they're both around and working together. And T-Mobile, I'm telling you, I'm at that point where I may have to start thinking about going to a different carrier.
Yeah.
It's getting.
I'm been a very happy T-Mobile customer for the most part. They've given me free lines, so I have all my wife's family on my plan, and then plus they were offering perks where you can get free lines. So I've got a couple free lines on my account that I don't pay a dime for, and I can use them for other phones whenever I need them. So
that's awesome.
They've been really pretty great. And then of course I'm grandfathered into the T-Mobile One plan because I started trying to price what their new Magenta plan is, and it's actually more. So I'm not switching. So as long as they'll let me keep it, I'm staying with it. So, but yeah, T-Mobile's pretty good. And they are giving some good perks. I've been very bitter at AT&T. I left them a while ago, but it's been almost 2 years now since I left them. So yeah, I've been happy that I left left them. So then last story here is the Flipboard. Flipboard is a pretty awesome app. It has that's a curation for magazines and such. My friend Chuck Joyner does Mac Voices magazine on Flipboard, and he puts all kinds of stuff in there. And then there's all kinds of great things similar to what Apple News does, but it's more curated to your taste, the way you want to do it. They decided to add dynamic iOS 14 home screen widgets with curated headlines, which is kind of cool. So now you can see all your headlines in a widget here. And this was just added and gives you curation to show headlines from 4 different Flipboard feeds. Flipboard launched this iOS app with this latest update, which is out now. And notably, local news support has been added for another 1,000 cities in this release too. So yeah, Flipboard's really, amazingly enough, it's all free. You don't have to pay a dime for this. So and like you, I like to follow feeds. I keep my feeds focused to technology, because I try to avoid the politics and all the crazy news of the day unless I know where to go and I want to see what's going on. So, what do you think?
Oh, same thing. I've been a Flipboard user for years, and I'm really excited about this. I mean, anything they can do to get the headlines easier, I'm all for. I'm a huge fan of widgets. I still haven't found a home screen customization that I'm really happy with, but the widgets themselves are awesome. So, again, huge fan. Very excited. I'm really glad Flipboard is continuing to update the platform and the software. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I'm really happy. So let's go ahead and move on to our topics this week. We always talk about beta. We miss you, Warren. We always like to hear your insights because you live on the edge, as I always say every week with Warren, and because he has all his devices on beta, and I just can't do it. This camera, if anybody's watching the live feed here, is actually an iPhone that I'm using with Camo, which is a great. That I've talked about that before, and this iPhone, which is a 10R, is running the beta. So it's a 14.5 beta 4 just came out, and it's out in the public as well as in developers' hands, and this is going to be a big update. We keep talking about the fact of the biggest thing everybody wants, and people are actually people I wouldn't expect switch to beta do it because they really want the mask and being able to unlock your iPhone with your Apple Watch. So that's the big thing. I keep talking. Why is this still continuing to be a problem? Why they haven't released it yet? But I really think it boils down to the privacy issues. They're trying to hold off as long as they can. Link in the show notes of all the stuff we've already been talking about that's been added. You don't dabble in beta at all, right? You avoid it, I'm assuming. Right?
I did for a couple of years, and I got burned on it, so I pretty much stay out of it now. I let someone else take that hit. I mean, so Warren, thanks for taking one for the team. I do appreciate it. But I'll tell you, I'm really excited about this update for the mask reason. And to be totally honest, I'm kind of surprised this unlock method hasn't been brought out before, because whether you're on a mask or not, it would seem to me if you have a watch that is already unlocked and tied to your phone and you want to just swipe up on your phone,
right?
Maybe it's a proximity thing because someone next to you could swipe on your phone. But I love that feature. I think like you, it's the one thing that I'm waiting for. That's going to make a huge difference in my usage.
Now, a couple new things that were announced that were been some rumor. We have an article in the show notes from Apple Insider here. Apple may soon deliver standalone iOS security updates, that they may actually separate the actual full-out OS updates and the security updates in two separate buckets. This is from what 95Mac is saying is they're planning a major policy shift that would allow users to download security patches separate from the operating system updates. So maybe someone's not ready to go with the OS update just yet, but install the security update, because that was the whole reason why you would do the update. Like 14.4.1 just came out because it had a huge bug with WebKit. So this was just discovered on Monday through beta. And the new affordance could allow users running older operating systems to keep the device security up to date without updating to the latest iOS version, because some people may have an older iPhone that's running, let's say, iOS 13, and potentially. So they are. It doesn't look like it's actually being ruled to just iOS 14.5. So this is going to be interesting to see if Apple does pull this off, and I think that starting with 14.5 and then going back to the old versions, they'll be able to do this. What do you think?
I wonder if it's going to increase the lifespan of individual devices. I mean, when you think about how long Apple supports their devices now, if someone could get continuous security updates and the version they're on is not bothering, then will they hold onto those devices longer? I'll be curious to see if that happens.
Yeah. Another feature that they're doing all kinds of enhancements. Like I'm saying, this is just this is not normal to see a beta version sit out here, and we just start discovering more and more things. 95Mac here as well discovered that Apple Music is adding a new city charts daily playlist with 14.5, and that was discovered in beta 4. It continues to add new features to Apple Music. After bringing a new way to share song lyrics from Apple Music onto Instagram and iMessage, Apple is now adding new city charts daily playlists to the music streaming service with 14.5. you'll be able to have access to playlists from over 100 cities around the world, the most played songs in each city. So, and that's how music really is. I mean, Billboard obviously being the behemoth as far as how of the charts of music in the music industry. Now you can actually see this in Apple Music. So that things are just continually changing with music. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm glad to see Apple continues to invest in it. I mean, they've really got, their music is really part of their fundamental core value. Yeah. I mean, they've been in music for years, right? So I'm glad to see they're still investing in it.
Yeah. And then another thing that they're adding, and there's more enhancements to Apple Maps. We just talked about the Waze-like experience and being able to report accidents. Now, again, and this was a 9to5 Mac, all these links, of course, are in the show notes. Apple Maps could soon be able to tell you how busy a business is based on anonymous location data. So what that is they've got they're also appearing that maybe Apple's working on a new feature to show users how busy a particular point of interest is before their visit. This was actually spotted by a user on Reddit. Apple has updated its privacy menu in the location services part of the settings app to describe a new feature that would use location data to aggregate details about how busy a point of interest is. So if you're going to, let's say, Mount Rushmore, and that'll tell you as you're close by how crazy busy it is, because they're, especially in the summertime, it can get pretty crazy up there. So this is good stuff. And people, I always hear people complaining about how Maps is not that great and Google Maps is so much better. But I'm starting to see more and more improvements with Apple Maps as things go on here.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of difference. I mean, there's a few tiny things that I still use Google Maps for, like multiple point destination routes and so forth. But beyond, or even being able to download maps offline if I'm in an area where my cellular data is going to be challenging or weak, right? Those are the only times that I go to Google Maps. Other than that, I'm in Apple Maps nonstop, and for reasons just like this. It's just becoming much more user friendly, offering a lot more features, and being much more intuitive. Again, I'm all in because it's easy, right? There's no reason for me to change. So that's beta this week, and we had some good information to tell you about. Let's hope it gets released soon. I'm anticipating. I think they're going to hold off until the announcement to when it'll finally get rolled out. I bet because they're just holding things here steady. But the 4 betas so far, see where it goes. Next topic. I finally got to go to the Apple Store. I was so excited. Our local Apple stores here are back up, and I think nationwide they're starting to open back up. So I decided, I've been really wanting the braided solo loop and for my Apple Watch Series 6, and you have the exact same one I do. I got the 44 millimeter Atlantic blue braided solo loop, and if anybody doesn't know what this type of band is, it's a band that's a complete solo loop. It doesn't have a Velcro, a strip, or anything like that. It's sized exactly to fit your wrist. Like I said, I was excited. At first, I placed the order because I wasn't expecting that I was going to be able to spend time in the store when I got there. So I ordered it, and I got the largest size because as everybody could see, I'm a pretty big guy here. So I got the size 12, and then I went into the car and I started trying it on. So it's like, God, this thing is really huge. I have to go back. This is crazy. I spent, this band is $100, so it's not cheap. Yeah. Right. Luckily, I had some store credits, and I had a gift credit that I didn't have to pay anything for, as I had already had a credit. So, so I said, I'm going to go back, and so then I went back into the store, and they let me right back in. I said, I want to exchange this. This is the wrong size, and I was just thinking, I just want to say, let me go down to 11. So I wasn't even going to monkey it. They said, do you want to speak to an associate? And we can actually have you try on the bands and actually try them out. I was like, really? Oh, I love it. Because when I first went in the store waiting to pick up the band, I'm just thinking about by being in the store here. I'm sorry, I got to go about tangents here. I got to actually touch and fondle and feel the AirPods Max. Yeah, right. I was tempted to put them on, but I was like, maybe not right now. I'm not real, not quite yet, right?
But then there was a story today I did that we didn't talk about, that the Apple stores are now opening up, so they're letting people with their AirPods. They can start trying the AirPods again. in the stores that you so you can demo them. So yeah, I went and spoke to the sales associate, and yeah, we could try these out. You want to try the different sizes? So I tried a 9, a little tight. I tried a 10, might be okay. And I tried 11, it's still a little big. So I went down to the 10, and sure enough, the 10 was a good size. So, and that's great, because that measurement tool they have, they got that piece of paper that you can print out and you wrap it. But then they say you also can use a cloth, a measure tape, and measure the size of your wrist. So I guess that's relatively accurate too. So, but it was a good experience, as always. I mean, anytime you go in the Apple Store, it's always a very good experience, in my opinion. But that was great that I was able to test the sizes, and really, I was like, I feel much better now. And this thing is amazing. It's really comfortable. I mean, I barely feel it, because the other band I had, was the blue one. I don't know if I have it here. Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah, this was the blue one, that I see in our camera here, that originally came with it. It's just basically the same color. And I've been using these bands for years. I've really loved these bands, and they're not bad, because you can just pull the strap through and adjust it however you want. But this is so comfortable. I mean, it's really. I said it. I barely feel it, and I pull it off of my wrist, and I say, there's no mark. That's the only thing you worry about, is there going to be a mark? But then, of course, the band's making the watch have a good, nice fit against your wrist, so you're getting the full benefit of all the health features, of course, of the Apple Watch. So and so you've had it longer than me. What's your thoughts on this band?
I am so surprised. I like the solo loops as much as I do. I mean, I like the sport ones, and I like this braided one is probably one of the most comfortable ones. Like you just said, it's one of the most comfortable ones I've ever tried. Yeah. I love it. I'm going to be interested to see how it washes, because I kind of abuse my watch and my bands a little bit, but because I'm cooking all day, but I'll be interested to see that little piece of, just because it is woven. But you're right. They are incredibly comfortable. I will probably get a couple of other colors as soon as I can. But
even to go that far, that's $100 each band there. So, and plus I have a whole collection behind me. I have a whole collection behind me, about 20 bands as it is anyway. So
you know me and my bands, though. I mean, I have bands.
That's true. I forgot your wallet. You do have that wallet. We all have our vices, I guess, right? That's okay.
But I love it. I think I'm getting at that point, though, with my bands, though, where I'm starting to worry if they ever change the clasp mechanism, like how you put the band on. Boy, I am in for some trouble, because I've got so much invested in this version and the style of how they clip the bands on and the sizes. So. But I love it. I again, pleasantly surprised, really, really comfortable. I would tell anybody to get it. And ironically, you and I wear the same size. So, we're brothers in wrist sizes. So
we are.
Love
it. You mentioned washing. How do you wash your watch band? I don't think I've ever really attempted, other than maybe just blotting it and maybe using a cloth. Well, what do you do on these cloth bands that you wash them?
A little bit of dish soap, and I just wash them by hands underwater. I use my thumbs to kind of scrub them a little bit. And then I set them out, especially like the old nylon ones, which I really do miss. I wish they were still making those. But all of those bands, every one of them, I've never had a problem washing them, and I just let them sit out and dry overnight, and they're totally fine.
Now, you just scrub them with your fingers?
They don't stain. Yeah. A little bit of dish soap, scrub them underneath there. Sometimes I use like a toothbrush on them if I have to, just to kind of scrub them down.
And do you actually rinse them afterwards? Or do you rinse the soap out afterwards?
Oh, yeah. Water, I just, I mean, just like underneath the faucet. Totally fine. Yeah. My wife even soaks hers. She's crazy. She soaks hers in soapy water overnight.
That's what I was asking. My wife has already been complaining about how dirty her band is. So I think I need to suggest that. So that you just said that. So I thought that the listeners would probably appreciate.
Yeah.
How do you wash a band? Because, I mean, even not the plastic, the sport bands, those get kind of grimy with your sweat and stuff on them, and you got to do some little bit of scrubbing on there. I mean, I get sometimes build up on the watch itself. You got to clean out the crud that gets in there. So, right along the edges of the sensor, totally. Yeah. But just a little bit of dish soap underwater, set them out, let them dry overnight. They're totally fine. All right. Next topic, and this was actually a big topic last week. Apple decides to discontinue the full-size HomePod, and focus on the HomePod Mini. I've got an article. This was linked on the show notes to Mac Groomers. Apple had officially decided to discontinue the standard HomePod to focus exclusively on the HomePod Mini. And this was reported actually through TechCrunch. Now, the HomePod was introduced 4 years ago. You actually can go back to some of my episodes, the early episodes in the, I think episode 30 or my previous co-host, remembering that I bought the HomePod for the first time and then declared that I returned it 5 days later because I wasn't impressed. But then if I look up above me, I have like one behind me and I have one above me and have a pair now. So I did. I've already been drinking the apple Kool-Aid for a long time, so I did give in. But I can't believe it's been probably almost 5 years now, because I think it was 2016 when the HomePod first came out. And originally the pricing was high. It was $350. And I think I paid the full price on the first one, but then they started having pricing that started dropping. They dropped it to $299, but then during Christmas time they would have the pricing down to $199. So then I ended up picking up the second one and got a much better price on it. The HomePod Mini does offer a lot of the features that the HomePod does, but it's smaller, it's less expensive, and I think Apple saw that. And I've got some HomePod. I have a HomePod Mini here as well as the HomePod, of course I do. And I think the sound quality, and the sound quality was very good. And there were many reviews, as I remember, not too long ago, that it was a pretty amazing sound quality for its relative to its size. I mean, it doesn't match the sound with the subwoofers and the bigger speakers that the HomePod has. But it does feature a lot of this stuff with the Siri integration, the Apple Music support, and the HomeKit controls. But Apple did provide a statement and confirm that this is in fact the case. Yeah, the HomePod Mini was released back in the fall of 2020. It's definitely interesting. And of course, you're already starting to see everything's out of stock. Everybody's buying them up like crazy and thinking that this is going to be a thing. But I guess the debate is, and what your thoughts are on this is, I've been having discussions with other podcasts. Do you think it was a smart thing? Do you think Apple is going to just abandon and stick with the Mini, or do you think they're looking at the future to see if something is going to happen? With a bigger speaker.
I don't. I've got so many feelings about this. This isn't the first time that Apple's discontinued a product. So I think from a support perspective, I'm not concerned about supports and updates. They made some changes to the HomePod software last year that will probably extend the time that they can service and support the HomePod. So I'm really happy about that. That's the first thing. Second thing is, to your point, the HomePod Mini is really good, but it doesn't have the volume, the bass, the power of the original HomePod. And I love my HomePod. I use it every single day. Yeah. So I'm curious to see are they seeing something in the market that just says, hey, we're investing too much money and time and resources in this for something that's a dwindling market? I mean, I see people in their homes with their AirPods on. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it going the way of other things that we traditionally think of with music, where it's like they're listening to their iPhone or they're listening to their iPad or even the smaller speakers and their competitors like Google and Amazon? I mean, when you think about what's happening to speakers, a lot of them are getting smaller and smarter. Does the HomePod Mini fit that space? And there's just no place and no need, or less of a need, for a bigger HomePod. For someone, though, that wants to rock it out in my house once in a while, I really want that volume. Is that going to mean that I have to have multiple HomePod Minis? We'll have to see. There's not a lot of alternatives out there that I am interested enough in to invest that type of money in a larger speaker. If I was going to replace my HomePod today, I'd go with the HomePod Mini. But I'm very sad and conflicted about it as a general rule. I mean, it takes me back to my hi-fi days.
Did you have the iPod hi-fi? You had that?
I did not, but I had friends who had it, and
if we recall,
and I remember when that.
If you recall, Steve Jobs made the comment, "I'm going to sell off my entire home theater. What do I need that for? This thing sounds amazing." And it sounded like
that. Well, and the most awkward thing was it was this massive speaker that had a little tiny iPod in it. Right?
I'm surprised.
It was massive.
And I'm surprised you didn't mention Sonos. I was waiting to see if you would mention Sonos. Sonos is by far one of the more popular speaker companies out there. I have, as I mentioned many times, I have the Sonos Move as a work anniversary present. I love that thing. Some of the things that the Sonos Move has that the HomePod doesn't have is the Sonos Move is on a battery. It's portable. It's heavy. It's very heavy, but it does have some pretty incredible sound. But it's not only Bluetooth; it's also networked over the network. The HomePods have to be plugged in. And that's the Mini as well, so they're not portable. But Sonos came up with a pretty amazing product when the Sonos Move. Much more expensive. When at full price, $399. But it's impressive how they've done that, as well as they've got their own app that does a lot of integration to that speaker. You could get a second Move and create a pair. My HomePods are in a pair, and in fact, I'll talk about the pair in a minute. But the Sonos One, the Sonos Moves, all great speakers. I know Sonos has also had already announced they're coming out with a portable speaker. It's going to be around $169. That's Bluetooth. It's supposed to have some pretty incredible sound. So I'm surprised that you didn't mention those guys.
Well, I think what I said was there wasn't the competition wasn't interesting enough to me for the price that it currently is. If Sonos decides to go into that space and get with something that's a bit more, I like Sonos. The fact that it supports AirPlay 2 makes it a very compelling feature. I think my point, though, goes back to what we said at the very beginning. Happy. If I was going to spend money and the HomePod Mini was my first choice and I could afford it over the competition, I'm trying to avoid competition in my house, and I might as well just get something that just works with my integration.
Sure.
Nothing against Sonos. You know what I mean? The other thing is that I don't go outside, like to a park district or a forest preserve or something where I would need to take music that has to be completely portable and self-powered, right? Yeah. So if I go outside on my deck, I can literally grab my Mini, plug it in, and I'm good to go. So I have choices within the scope of how I would use music on the outside, or I'm mowing the lawn and I got my AirPods in. I guess when I think about my use case, going outside of the ecosystem with something that's going to be battery powered really isn't a big need for me. But Sonos is, Sonos has got a place, and people like them, and I'm all for them,
Granted, I got it for free, so I'm not complaining, because I wouldn't have. Honestly would not. I wouldn't have purchased it because it was a work anniversary present, so I was able to get one. But speaking of pairs and doing pairing, you get two HomePods or two HomePod Minis, you can put them in pair. One of the disappointing things was if you are using your Mac, and it's part of the whole thing here with the HomePod and portability here, because the HomePod is pretty much based on iOS as far as its software. So it's very disappointing that you could not play music from a Mac on the pair. It would only go on the left or the right HomePod. But luckily, beta, which Big Sur 11.3 finally, and I've been testing it on one of my Macs. It is now finally you're going to be able to play music in pair. So you couldn't do that before. So the other cool thing too is I have the Sonos Move, so I have the capabilities of playing it through all three speakers at once through Apple Music. So I can put you can adjust the volume on both of them and then have some pretty incredible sound through all three. So you really get some options, and that's what's the great thing about AirPlay, and they're smart with that too. But I guess in closing with the HomePod, I'm kind of not at all surprised that Apple had seen this. They never tell you what their sales are, but I would venture to say it wasn't a big seller. But I think they'll continue to support it in years to come. I mean, they support iPhones for many, many years after. I don't see it going anyway anytime soon. I think they'll continue to support it because it basically has the same stuff that the HomePod Mini has. I mean, there's really much difference in limitations of the hardware, so that they can continue to put software updates to it. So, any last thoughts on that?
Yeah, there is some cool things that the Mini does that the HomePod does not do. So it's the Mini is recognizes you walking by with your iPhone, and it prompts you to control the speaker from your iPhone. So I don't know if if you're aware of this, but like my iPhone will vibrate when I walk by. It freaks me out every time because it does it when I don't want it to, or when it's unexpected. But I love that feature, and the old HomePod, the big one, doesn't do that. And I would love that feature for that speaker, because when I walk by that speaker in closer proximity less often. So when I do walk over there, it's because I'm going to the HomePod. I love that feature. So there's some cool things that are happening. It would be nice to see those updated. We'll see what happens. But yeah, sad for the HomePod.
Yeah, but I think we'll see how things go. I mean, Apple's surprised us in the past. We'll definitely see what happens. So, all right, next topic. Of course, as we will be promoting your podcast, you have a podcast, Diabetic Savvy, and diabeticsavvy.com. So you are, I would consider you a subject matter expert in that, on that topic. And I wanted to touch a little bit about the Apple Watch. And there have been a lot of discussions with the Series 7 model that may be coming out that could possibly offer and gain a built-in glucose monitor to check blood sugars. I don't know if the existing 6s are going to be able to do that. I'm pretty much thinking it's got to be a hardware update in order for it to do it. There were some articles. I have a link from back in January that the 9 to 5 Mac had talked about, that there was a claim, because right now it's very much speculation at this point. But I know Tim Cook had been brought that up as, because now they've put the heart monitors and the testing for AFib and all that. Why not also dealing with measuring blood sugars and having a sensor. They gave good, interesting specs. 10% of all Americans have diabetes, and there's 26 million of them that go undiagnosed. And this Apple Watch has saved a lot of people. Telling them that and it's not something to replace your doctor, but it's been pretty gosh darn accurate when it comes to that as far as that goes. And you know what? I'd be looking forward to not having to prick your finger every 5 minutes. I'm exaggerating, but that they have to test your blood sugars all the time, whereas this is going to be as a sensor. So I'll go ahead. I'm opening it up to you. What are your thoughts on this, and where do you think this is going to go, and where do you think Apple's going to really do it?
I think I said to you when we talked about this prior to the show that it will not even be a question. Like, I will sell off everything I own to buy this watch if that's true, because right now, just out of pocket, I'm spending $1,500 a year on continuous glucose monitors.
Okay.
Because I don't want to prick my finger. And I have what's called type 2 uncontrolled, which means my blood sugars can go really low, can go really high. So the CGM that I have is really, really critical for me to understand where my blood's going, not just that momentary measurement of a finger prick. So I think I would love to see Apple do this. They've made mention of this even in previous years, that this is something they're interested in. And there's so many people that this would benefit. I mean, just to know that you're pre-diabetic is so incredibly powerful. And you can do so much from a proactive prevention perspective. It's so important. I'm so excited. I have been reluctant to write about this on my own site because I don't want to get my hopes up and then be crushed by it. I'm really interested to see the technology behind it, because everything that I have read up until this point, you need some sort of a subcutaneous insert into the skin to be able to measure it properly. Boy, if they can crack that without some sort of a flexible needle in your skin like my CGM is, boy, that would be game changing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay. I'm so incredibly excited. I mean, I can't say enough about it.
So, I guess more to come. There's really much else we can say about this. Other than I just wanted to throw that out there, since you are the subject matter expert on this, and I'm hoping that something happens and keeps it. I mean, there is. I mean, what about some of the other products that are out there for the iPhone right now? I mean, I know they have the sensors that you could plug into your Lightning port, and that's got the you put the tab in, and you still have to prick your finger to get the measurement, but it does an automatic reading. I've got a meter that does it for the one touch that automatically sends it over Bluetooth. But what about some of those devices? What is your thoughts on those that you can currently get?
Well, the two biggest players right now are Abbott's Freestyle Libre, which has a continuous sensor that's embedded in your arm for 14 days. The nice thing about that is it pairs with your phone. The downside is it only pairs with one device, so it's typically your phone. The Dexcom, which is also the other biggest one, they have a watch and an iPhone app as well. The nice thing is that those integrate with the health app, so you can be incredibly transparent and detailed with your doctor. That's, I think, the most important part of this is that it's live, ongoing information that's being documented and transferred to your devices in a way that you can get them to your doctors and your specialists in a form that's live and accurate. It's not dependent on strictly a momentary bit of data as well as what you're telling your doctor, because a lot of times what we tell our doctors and what's really happening can be different things, and those differences can be, in some cases, life-threatening. So I think as we continue to integrate more with health app and the opportunity to manage not just diabetes, but many other chronic conditions, I think the integration is going to become even more important. And we're going to see, hopefully, more streamlining of these products. I mean, what interests me about this particular rumor with the 7 watches, would this eliminate the need for someone like myself who's self-managing diabetes to not have to buy a continuous glucose monitor? Will the data be dependable? And that's what's kind of interesting to me when we talk about sleep data and we talk about EKG and the blood oxygen levels. I mean, can we start to really depend on this data that we're getting from a medicinal and prevention perspective? That's going to be interesting to see over time.
All right, great. Appreciate your insights about this. I thought this was an interesting topic. We don't talk about it too often.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited about it.
We'll definitely keep our eyes open because let's say it's important there are many folks out there, I'm sure, listening that have to deal with this, and it's a good thing to talk about. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on. A little more lighter subject here. We've got I got a couple products that I wanted to talk about here. The first one is Kensington, big accessories maker. This was actually a review on Apple Insider. They came out with a studio dock. It caters to the iPad Pro centric creatives. It was an all-in-one solution for power users who rely on the iPad Pro to get their work done. It incorporates a magnetic stand, a bevy of ports, and an Apple Watch charger, and two Qi chargers, the wireless charging. Apple seems to be taking the iPad Pro more seriously as people upgrade it from year to year. Of course, they added in 13.4, they added the mouse and trackpad support. I've got the Magic Keyboard that's got the trackpad built in, which is pretty awesome. That works with this. And you've seen countless USB-C hubs out there, but the design of this dock actually is set out to do a lot of support here, including the Apple Watch charger, an SD card reader, the charger itself. It's an iPad Pro stand. A lot to fit in one device. There are 2 versions, the 11 and 12.9 inch model. And it looks like a pretty cool device. It's got a stand, it stands up. It's called the Studio Dock. Makes it a really nice and really nice stand. And I've tried a bunch of these others, not this one, but so really can't much I can say other than that I put the review of it from Apple Insider in the show notes. But you look on the back of the device, it's got an Ethernet cable, so you can make it a true out network device, plus 3 USB A ports, which are looks like those are the 3.1 or 3.0. You got an HDMI connector, so you can connect directly to a monitor, as well as it's got the power in. That's a 4K HDMI, so that's pretty awesome in itself here. So it's not a bad looking stand here, but I think I don't know. I haven't seen what the pricing here is. $399. Yeah, $399 is for the 11. Pricey. So it's pricey. So you got to think about how serious are you with the iPad. So it doesn't sound like this would be something you'd be just going out and buying for how you use your iPad, right?
No, because I use my iPad as a portable device. I mean, I have been very happy using the standard, foldable case that Apple sells, and I just flip it around, make it a stand, grab my Magic Keyboard, my mouse, and I'm totally good to go. Like I'm completely fine with that. Now, it would be interesting. Our friend Chris Lawley, he will probably get this and totally love it. I have to reach out and see if he has it yet. But he really uses the iPad as his main go-to device. If I used the iPad as more of my go-to device at home, I could definitely see myself getting this. I still use my Mac, when I'm at home. So, and I end up using actually all three devices at the same time simultaneously. So I'm usually writing on my iPad, typing on my Mac, and then using my phone for other reasons. So until, but I will say that the iPad seems to finally becoming the true sort of anything you want it to be device at any point, whether it's a magazine or a teleprompter or an input device, or it's really sort of becoming that. And it's third parties as well as Apple seem to really be pushing that idea forward, that hey, this really can become your next computer. I mean, and there's a lot that's happening. I'm very excited to see it.
All right, great. Next product that I came across, this is actually from Western Digital. Actually, it's Sandisk. Sandisk is owned by Western Digital, so they've had the Sandisk iExpand drives for many years. I think I have an old one somewhere that I had. I actually had one that was like almost a rectangle one that's got the little cable with the lightning on it that I got, and you could plug it right into the lightning connector on your iPhone, and it was giving you the capabilities based on the OS, allowing you to be able to copy, transfer files. Good opportunity being able, like the one you want to back up your photos over a flash drive type device as opposed to on the cloud as well. As it's not a bad idea to be redundant and backup. So what they did with this one's almost like the size of a thumb drive, basically. Mm-hmm. And the previous ones they had were just a Lightning, but then it had a USB-A connector on it. Mm-hmm. Well, what they've done is they've come out with now it's got a USB-C and the Lightning all in one device, and you flip it over, you got either one. So technically, you can plug this in your iPad. It's an iPad Pro that has the Thunderbolt, and the Lightning would work on older iPads as well as on the iPhones. And it's basically two connectors, one device, but it's a flash drive. So gives you the capabilities. And then the USB-C, of course, it will plug in, like I say, you want to plug it into your Mac. Very easy to do that because it's got USB-C. Mm-hmm. Easy way to free up your space on your iPhone. As I said, being able to download any of your photos or anything. You could password protect things on this thumb drive. So if you wanted to put some security on there, it does have that opportunity as well. So pretty cool device, and you can put it on a keychain if you want. Very, very easy to carry around with you. Comes in three capacities: 64, 128, and 256. Starts at $44.99. It's available on Amazon. I'll have a link in the show notes for this. And up to 256. I was tempted to look at the 256. It's $89.99 for the top end 256. Have you used one? Have you used any of these types of devices before for your backup?
I have not used a device like this in some time because I'm so dependent upon the cloud. But I will tell you, though, that as more and more of these become USB / Thunderbolt compatible, because I have an adapter right now for USB-C and the Thunderbolt, which I can actually still charge my iPad using that little adapter, which is great because sometimes I just don't want to carry more cords. But as they become more cross-compatible like this, I could definitely see myself doing it because a lot of my files we talked about, they're video files or large files. If I can carry those around with me and edit them and download them and manage them anywhere I go, I'm going to need something like this. So I'm really excited about it. I would. The one thing that I'm excited about with USB-C is that there seems to be a much higher adoption rate with USB-C than previous versions. So I'm excited about that because I'll tell you, so many different ports and Lightning and Thunderbolt and just all of these different types of ports make it really, really hard to carry devices like this without some sort of an adapter or dongle. So I'm really happy to see what Sandisk is doing because it's going to make offlining or offloading storage a lot easier. So, and the price is right. I mean, it's really,
it's not bad.
That's not too bad.
I'm tempted, but I got so much other stuff in my collection of technology.
Yeah, right.
Do I dare? And I think I've got plenty. I mean, I've got plenty of USB-C thumb drives or thumb drives, as well as I have USB-C thumb drives now that I can use for the iPhone or the iPad. But yeah, I don't know if I need it. I think I had it in the cart in Amazon. I said, why am I buying this? So I kind of, but for those of you who are in the market looking for a product like that, I think it isn't a bad idea here. So let's got a few more minutes left here. Let's talk about a couple tips here. First one is it's always interesting to see how on the Apple Watch, how do you change your passcode? It's always hard to remember sometimes your passcode. I don't remember it. Apple has a feature where you can set the Apple Watch. So what happens is if your iPhone is nearby with your Apple Watch, your Apple Watch will unlock automatically, so you don't have to worry about putting your passcode in. But there's plenty of times where you have to put your passcode in. So because it will prompt if let's say you have your watch and your phone is somewhere else, it may not be synced. Then you have to put your passcode in. So and it is a 4-digit code that's in there to do that. But I wanted to talk about how you actually change it. So the way you do that is you actually press the digital crown on your Apple Watch to access the home screen, and you scroll around and then find the settings app. And then you go into the settings app. There's a choice in there called passcode. And then you go in there. You can actually turn the passcode off, which we definitely don't recommend. You should keep your Apple Watch secure, especially you got a lot of health data in there. You don't want to be messing around with that. So go in and tap, scroll down in there and tap change passcode. Then, of course, just put the passcode in what you want, 4 digits, and then repeat it. And then now you got a pretty easy passcode to put in there. We have a link in the show notes to OS X Daily, which always has great info about how to know about things with Apple. They mentioned by default, Apple Watch uses a 4-digit passcode, which is easier to crack than theirs, since there are only about 10,000 possible combinations. So you want to make sure you're ensuring maximum security. Use a more complex passcode. Don't do 9999 or 2222 and those things. But of course, the iPhone gives you a 6-digit passcode, which that's how I have my iPhone set for passcodes when Face ID isn't working. So I thought that was a decent tip. You use the passcode on yours at all?
Oh, all the time. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
But I have it set for automatic with the iPhone. So if my iPhone's nearby, then I don't have to worry. It automatically unlocks. So.
Correct. Yes, correct. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. And I have it so it sets up with my Mac as well. So my Mac unlocks with my watch. It's all integrated.
I love that.
Absolutely. Best way to do it. Yeah.
Forgot about that feature. Yeah. If anybody doesn't know this, you can go into your Mac and actually turn it on. So it gives you the option to set your Mac. So as soon as you get near your Mac and you have your Apple Watch on, it'll automatically unlock. I love that. I love that feature. And then apps are adding that too. 1Password. Love having that. So now what happens is I have 1Password set up to auto unlock with my Apple Watch. So if I come to it and it's asking for a password, all I have to do is tap the button on the Apple Watch and it'll automatically unlock put my passcode in for my admin account. So that's why I might have to install something or whatever. So, but that is a great thing. So, all right. I think we've come close to a close for another session here of our show. I really appreciate everybody being here and listening. And let's go ahead and wrap things up. Okay. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios, or you can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others, including radio.com. You can listen to us on there and many other places on there. But better yet, just go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram @DaveG65. Davis, thanks so much for being here again. This was a blast. But please tell everybody about your site and where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me. I am all over the web at Diabetic Savvy. So you can find me on all the major social media platforms. I'm on YouTube at Diabetic Savvy with Davis Knight. And there's always my website, which houses our podcast, all of our work, our blog, our videos, our recipes, all that stuff. All the work that we're doing to be advocates in the diabetes space is all there. So come by, visit, subscribe. We'd love to have you. And Dave, as always, it's such a pleasure to be back. I will come back anytime you need me. And I love the show, and you're doing great work. And yeah, anytime I can come back and support. Yep. You're doing great.
Appreciate that. And I hope everybody enjoyed the show this week as much as we did, giving you all this great information. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll talk again soon.